Ah, ahoy. They really took everything, huh? Even the couch. Well, at least they left me this tiny TV and the PlayStation 5. But with no games. I wonder if there's a Chinese proverb in there somewhere. Is it worse to have a console but no games, or games but no console? Oh, hold on. It looks like there's something left in the negative space. Ad infinitum. Oh, I remember this game now. Back in September, I saw this game on Amazon, soon to release, and it caught my attention. And I pre-ordered it because it wasn't such a bad price. What caught my interest was the fact that this was a survival horror game based on World War I, a conflict often overshadowed by its sequel. But lately I've been appreciating how World War I's been getting more attention in media via games and films. And here we have another one. A survival horror game while we're at it, making this game right up my alley. Or should I say, right up my trenches.
Ad infinitum is Latin for infinity, or forevermore. And I wonder why they are using Latin since we are playing as a German soldier. But then again, maybe Zur Unendlichkeit just didn't roll off the tongue too well. Für Emir is made by Nacon, who I'm not familiar with, but apparently they made a lot of games since 2002. Which is weird because I don't know any of these except for recent releases being Zur Unendlichkeit, Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, which I actually do own, well, did, and RoboCop Rogue City, which is a game I know about and want to play.
But till then, let's see if Ad infinitum can keep me occupied while I figure out a way to get my stuff back.
So usually at the start of most of my videos, I like talking about the plot of the game to get that out of the way. But here, I'm gonna be honest, I have no f***ing clue what the game is about. What I do know is that we are a German soldier during World War I who was dealing with severe PTSD, which is causing him to lose his mind and battling his own demons. The game's prologue has you receive orders to charge into no man's land, which, if anyone knows history, was pretty much a death field. But in Ad infinitum, it was actually a nice stroll with some occasional explosions around you. It wasn't until we blow up and the game truly begins. So Ad infinitum has two sections. One half has us navigating our childhood home that has a whole bunch of spooky things going on, and the other half has us back in the trenches where we are dealing with horrifying monsters in this Langoliers-like setting. But what is actually happening, I have no idea. Throughout the game, I'm constantly wondering if the trenches are flashbacks where you are seeing horrific genetic experiments that caused the massacre of an entire platoon, but in that case, what's happening in your childhood home? There was a thing where our mother tried to perform some kind of exorcism to bring back her dead children, so am I just a messed up undead ghoul? Am I dead and just in purgatory needing to process what tribulations I've endured from the war to my toxic family to be able to move on with the afterlife? Is cereal a soup?
It became kinda clear as the game progressed. But rather than try to explain it and break it down, I'll just say everything you see in the game is inside our German soldier's head.
So if you think I'm wasting too much time lingering and thinking about what the hell is happening rather than just playing the game and letting it unfold before me until I get that sudden oh! But Ad infinitum gives us way too much time to think about it because the game has a lot of nothing happening. Let's start with the childhood mansion part of the game. So this part is really just a big old puzzle where we gotta find items to use in other places and keys to access rooms. And if you heard puzzle and think this is a fun horror puzzle game, it isn't. It's not any of those terms actually. Most of the time it's finding keys to access rooms, but there's so many fucking rooms in this giant mansion that you'll find yourself constantly checking every single door to see that none of them are it. And it's so annoying and so frustrating. At this point, why doesn't our character just run through the door? Imagine if Luigi's Mansion didn't have the Game Boy Horror telling you where the key you just got unlocks which door, and instead you had to go to every single door and test them. It would suck, the rating would go down. But that's what Ad infinitum is. Plus, when it's not matched the key to the door, the puzzles are a bit too nonsensical. I take no pride in giving up and having to look up answers online, but when I see what the answers to some of these are, I'm pissed because the game does nothing to tell me what I'm supposed to do at times. It's tedious, it's not even horror because at no point during these sections are you in danger. Besides dying from boredom, there is nothing that could harm us or even after us. The game tries to be spooky with the lights and sound design, but it's all empty. If they had some ghoulish creature slowly just moving around the house, not chasing us to make it too impractical, but enough to at least make the game somewhat entertaining, it would have been better.
I never thought I'd say things were better at the war front than at home.
Okay, so while I say the trenches were better than the mansion parts, it's better in the sense that your cat shitting in your carpet is better than your cat shitting on your bed. So in the trenches, we start dealing with actual enemies that we have to maneuver around. But you see, in between these far and few encounters, there's a whole bunch more wandering around. It's actively fucking boring. The game tries to break it up by having a ton of letters lying around that tells the game's story. But really? This is the survival horror game? A fucking walking simulator with some reading? Even when you do encounter monsters, it's nothing too special. Every time we have a run-in with enemies, we simply just have to walk to a crevice that they can't get through. At another point, we're dealing with this giant rage monster that we have to lure to a bomb depot by having it charge us, then we scurry to hide in these little gaps, get out, and do it again. It felt more like a chore than anything interesting, and when I was running away from a river monster earlier in the game, it was so blasé that I mentally put together an entire grocery list because God forbid I needed to put any thought in. Now the game has multiple endings, and what determines which ending we get is how we beat the bosses of the game. We have the choice of killing them or sparing them. Going full Undertale here, I see. But in regard to the boss battles, they aren't anything to rave about. It was all the same premise of avoiding them so you can flick a bunch of switches, and whether or not you kill the boss or spare it is based on which direction you flick said switches. Though the second boss battle is something I'll actually give solid regards to, the fact that we had gates constantly popping up and disrupting our path while being followed by the boss was actually pretty good. Besides that, I guess I can give the sound design props, and the visuals are alright. It made me think of a joke I made back in my review of Grey Hill Incident where the game's graphics were 50 Shades of Grey. But in that game, it was 50 Shades of Dark Grey. Here, it's oftentimes 50 Shades of Light Grey. We got a full spectrum here. Though sometimes during the mansion sequences, the game got way too dark that I couldn't see anything. I ended up turning the gamma up to its highest setting, which helped a little, but once the game switched back to the bright lights of the trenches, I fucking flashbanged myself. Overall, Ad Infinitum's gameplay is pretty boring. Most of the time you are just wandering around, picking up letters, and rarely having enemy encounters. For a 4-hour game, it took me a couple of days to beat it. Because it was so boring, every half hour or so I ended up taking a nap. The game calls itself a survival horror, yet there isn't really anything survival horror-y about it. There was no management of resources while having to plan out if it's better to confront monsters or save your supplies and just sneak around them. See, Resident Evil Village, for all its faults, was a perfect survival horror game. Whenever I missed a shot, I felt the weight of wasting a valuable bullet. I will give the game one more prop, and that is the fact that it pulled a fun joke on me. When checking the controls at the start of the game, I saw we have buttons to shoot a weapon, meaning, oh, at some point I get a gun that'll let me fight back against these demons. But no, the first time you get a gun, it gets Thanos snapped out of existence, and the second time you get a gun right before the third boss battle, it immediately just snatches the gun away from you.
Alright, that's pretty funny.
I have nothing left to say about Infinitum. I could have just uploaded a 10-minute video of me walking and it would have probably done a much better job of translating what to expect with the game. Ad Infinitum is pretty bad, it's boring as hell, and it seems like it just wants to tell you a dark story rather than make a fun and engaging game. It has a decent atmosphere and an okay story, but that's about it really. Out of curiosity, I looked up online what other people were saying about it, and I was shocked to see that the game was getting an average of 7 out of 10.
Really? This is a 7 out of 10 horror game? Honestly, that's pretty pathetic and pretty downright disappointing for the survival horror genre. Now, I am being a bit more mean to this game than I was to Grey Hill Incident, but here's the thing. That game was the studio's first ever project. We all had to start somewhere. Nakon's been making games for many years, and they thought this would be good enough to put out?
My quote on the matter is, if you are dealing with insomnia, just play Ad Infinitum. It'll put you right to f***ing sleep.
I'm really disappointed here, not just in Zert und Lenichkeit, but the survival horror genre in general. I really need to play Resident Evil. Hey, remember me? I really gotta stop answering this door. Listen, man, you already took all my stuff. What more do you want? Whoa. I'm not here to take your stuff. I'm here to give it back. Huh? We run a business of delivering pizza and stealing your stuff, so you have no choice but to play and review bad video games, and afterward, we give it all back. You steal all my stuff and then give it back, all for $10 worth of pizza. You're getting it. Listen, this feels like a very stupid business plan. Whoa. Do I come to your house and criticize you on how you make your living? No, you just break into my house and steal my shit. Well, if you don't like our service, I can just keep your stuff. You know, you got a point. You're better than all the taxes and fees on Uber Eats. That's better. Here you go. Oh, shit. Wow. How'd you do that? Oh, sir, none of this is real. Huh? I must have dozed off while reviewing Princess Peach Showtime.